Hey everyone, Kane here, and welcome to another video of Art of Conquest. In this one, people were kind of asking me how can I increase the hero attack value, and why is my attack value pretty high? There are a few nuances to that. We will talk about it in this video. However, there is another topic to tell you or talk about is that you don't necessarily require this value to be very high on your Avril for her to be able to do damage. Yes, you don't really require a very high value. All of that comes down to a ton of buffers, a ton of debuffers that we have in terms of heroes, their potentials, as well as a proper use of the Arcane 8 spell and that burn damage. Yes, I have a ton of resistances on my army. Yeah, there are 25 to 30 millions who cannot bypass my stall side, but there are also people with less core power, or around my core power rather, who have Avrils with, I think, like 60 million attack, 65, 70, which with proper use of buffs and debuffs are able to do a ton of damage. And emphasis on buffs and debuffs, right? They are very important in terms of this resistance meta. So, that aside, which was kind of important to touch on as well, how could you be able to increase the hero attack? So, the newer features, or rather the two newest ones, kind of skyrocket the attack values incredibly. And for example, the Silverwing literature, unfortunately, is one of the bigger or biggest reasons as to why. Now, quite a lot of people might think this feature actually provides true bonuses, and unfortunately, it does not. It provides true bonuses to the base value or everything up to the prisms, which means prisms are still the true value, while this is not technically that, but just something below it, like 50% effectiveness or whatever. We're going to show that in numbers in just a second. So, what stats should you raise on them, or where do the stats come from? So, the way I have noticed in terms of the attack values increasing, these three resonances increasing a ton of attack value, like close to the percentages that they're actually giving. It wasn't exactly that 10% of what I have seen on my screen. However, it was just a couple of millions below than they would actually provide. I think this 25% added, I think, like 12 million, 10 million to my average. I'm not entirely sure, from like 80 plus to 90 plus in just this one buff. So that's more than 10 million. But again, prisms further buff this effect. So we're going to talk about again in just a second. However, you also have bonuses in terms of attack for all units, and then you have attack for heroes. So that's double, say, benefit or bonus, then another one for all units, and of course for heroes as well. And then it goes forward into even increasing more of that once you finish them, like this new study. What it will do, I assume, is that it will take these buffs, which are pretty much these tiny upgrades right here, which we, one moment, these tiny upgrades that we're doing, I think it's the new study one or whatever it's called, and that one particular thing will keep buffing these values, and eventually this will turn into some crazy values as well in terms of what it will provide. So there are some people with friggin' hundreds of millions of attack values and stuff like that, and it's actually pretty friggin' crazy. Aside from that, the new prisms also play a part in terms of providing a ton of value, like for example tearing up the wave power or adding the new special prisms, which also give some value. So let's check a little bit. So my Avril has 96 million attack. So if I remove this, say 7% or so, let's check how much it changes. So that kind of removed 1 million attack, which for one level 3 slot is actually pretty friggin' crazy. I don't think that any other random prism like that would actually do it, at the very least for 7%. But it also affects healing efficacy, health, and etc. So these new prisms are going to increase a ton of stuff. But this is not only the thing that actually does it. What prisms do is they literally buff all the features, all the stats, especially this hero bonus attack value. So the attack value currently is 96 million. If we remove this 87%, right, we remove 87%, the value drops down to 49.76. So I have to pull up a calculator right now on screen because of something happening which pretty much is not really what happened before, so there might be some miscalculation or bug or some different effect. Now, the hero bonus prism, which was 87%, or rather was 75 prior to this prism feature, it always made up the good values and provided the exact number of attack values. While now, if we go like this, 0.76, we multiply it by 1.87 because this is the true value from the prism. And this value goes to 93 million, which is kind of crazy because the value is not 93, it's actually 3 million higher than what it has shown. So if we remove this particular one, it will drop down in 1 million value. So even that wouldn't really make sense in terms of the calculations. Yes, I had eventually removed all of the blue ones, the little ones, or whatever. The value didn't really change because they were also buffing those prior to the calculation. Now, they might also be buffing the, I suppose, the true value of the hero bonus attack, these new prisms. Probably it's very hard to test. I'm not sure, but something is happening with the values and this new prism feature, which are kind of increasing in a little bit too much stats, perhaps. Because again, prior to that, this value always showcased pretty much top-notch exact values from my calculations. Now, it doesn't. Likely the issue is with these new things, which could further buff these values, which then become, pretty insane in terms of the values. So you have literature literally just breaking down on the huge attack values. Now you have the new prism feature even doing that more. And of course, if you pair it with prisms that you really don't use, the attack values can just skyrocket incredibly. Now again, you have to understand that there are nuances where attack value is not going to help you bypass 99 resistances. Yes, it will add a ton of damage. Yes, you will do more damage. However, if you don't have buffers, debuffers, all of that kind of stuff, you will not bypass even likely doubling the attack value that you don't have. Because removing that resistances or a ton of resistances or debuffing a lot raises that damage much more than just doubling your attack value, because increasing it or reducing resistances will make you even a smaller value do a huge amount of damage. However, if you don't reduce their resistances, even a huge attack value will be reduced to nothingness. So again, remember that you have to properly focus your field with buffs and debuffs, and only then kind of think about overbuffing your hero attack. Again, not incredibly important unless you heavily focus Silverwing literature with, buying packs and stuff. So if you don't really have to worry about that. But again, focus a lot about more into making proper formations and only then focus on hero attack. The thing about my value being so high is because I place, I think, 26 heroes plus 27th is a clone. Soon, when I get more experience for heroes, I will place 4 more high-level heroes, and all of them will carry another prism, which means I will be reducing 4 buffing prisms in terms of values, and I will place them with a specific, either a buffing prism or a tanky prism or a DPS prism from one of my mages, and move something else from them. Essentially, what will happen is this attack value will slightly go down because I won't really need it to be that high because I properly manage my formations, and even that value will be sort of enough to bypass plenty of people, even if they overfocus resistances everywhere. Again, because of buffers, debuffers, and a ton of stuff like that. They carry more value, more benefit, more effect than just doubling the attack value. Yes, that attack value, if you double it and you also have proper buffs and debuffs, you will probably clear it in an instant, right? So that is the case. However, you still require to focus more on that than just attack value. So that is what I kind of wanted to talk about. You shouldn't really be heavily focusing on increasing it without a proper formation. And I do think that quite a lot of people might not have the best formations. Now, I'm, taking that in consideration to how I fight in the dual tower, what kind of people I face. Many formations, probably even my own, can still do a little bit more of placing units, swapping positions, swapping prisms, maybe, all that kind of stuff. Every formation has those, and there is no perfect formation, I don't think. So, still, again, try to focus on buffers, debuffers, test a little bit, and then try to increase your values that way if you might require them. So that is pretty much the video and my take on the hero attack values and how you can increase them. Pretty much Silverwing literature. Then, of course, you have prisms. Then, of course, you have stuff like temple, all that kind of stuff, research, hero mastery. And I don't think that there are many more apart from potential as well, or skins. I mean, these are pretty basic things that majority of us really know. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found it useful. If you did, you hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. And if you would wish to support me more than just watching my videos, I have made a Patreon page where you would be able to do just that. In return, I would be able to help you out more individually in terms of events, PvP formations, and stuff like that. So as I would like to thank all of my patrons for the support, I really appreciate it for your subscriptions. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay safe out there.